I was halfway through my second energy drink when my phone buzzed. It was supposed to be just another shift. 12 hours of fixing busted vending machines in the underbelly of a hospital where the air always smelled like lemon-scented bleach and broken dreams. Two of the machines were down. One was jammed with an exploded can of orange soda. The other kept trying to vend the same pack of peanut M&Ms no matter what button you pushed. I was elbow deep in sticky syrup when the text came through. Brandon, coworker. Yo, not trying to start anything, but is this your wife? There was a link. No context, just that. I stared at it for a second. Brandon was a solid dude. He once covered a shift for me when I had food poisoning so bad I thought I'd seen God. So this wasn't some random prank. I wiped my hands on my shirt and clicked the link. Low resolution thumbnails. A username I didn't recognize. At Angel Scarlet 88. Private account. OnlyFans. The bio hit me first. Real married girl next door, naughty and bored, while hubby works custom vids twos, thurs. At first I laughed. It felt surreal, until I scrolled down and saw the free preview. She was wearing the pink silk robe I bought her for our anniversary. Her hair tied up the way she always did when she was focused. Except this time, she wasn't folding laundry or reading a book. She was staring directly into a camera, biting her lip. And there, just barely visible in the background, was the corner of our bed frame. The one I built. The one we made plans in. The one I slept in while she filmed herself for strangers. I couldn't breathe. My throat went dry. I looked again, hoping maybe it was someone else. A look-alike, a nightmare I hadn't woken up from. But then she laughed. That soft, snorting laugh. The one she did when something caught her off guard. It was her. My wife. Doing this. Publicly. And I had to find out from a guy who shares a toolbox with me at work. I didn't text Brandon back. I didn't say anything. I just locked my phone, took 3 deep breaths, and finished fixing the damn vending machine. When I got home that night, she was in the kitchen making tea, wearing that same robe, like it wasn't soaked in betrayal. She smiled. Hey, babe. Long day. I nodded. Yeah, just tired. I kissed her on the cheek, and the whole time I could still hear her voice from that video echoing in my head. The fake moans, the breathy giggles. I wanted to scream, but I didn't, because that would end the story too soon. And I needed to know how deep the rot went. Over the next week, I became 2 people. By day, I was the same vending tech with a half-broken back and an overtime addiction. By night, I was an investigator in my own home. I made a burner email, subscribed to her page, paid for her content. Every click felt like swallowing glass, but I did it. Because I needed proof. Proof that she wasn't just bored. She wasn't just lonely. She was planning something. I downloaded everything, cataloged it, built folders, outfits, filming locations, timestamps, audio clips, messages. And then came the real gut punch. She wasn't just streaming, she was talking to people, flirting, DMing, selling custom videos. And one of the names in her message history? Jake. My best friend since middle school, my best man at our wedding. He'd sent her $150 for a video, then another $300 for a custom couple scenario. She sent him back a winking selfie in the shower with the caption, "Bet I scrub up better than your girlfriend." I sat there, staring at the screen. Everything in me wanted to explode, but I didn't. Because now I had a new folder. Jake. She started leaving the house more. Claimed she was going to yoga and the gym, errands. But I checked our shared bank account. She'd opened a new one without telling me. Money was flowing into it regularly. I traced the deposits, PayPal, Cash App, Venmo, all with weird little emojis in the memo lines. Eggplant high heel shoe, I screenshotted everything. She was saving up, not for a car, not for a vacation. She was building an exit plan. Every upload was another brick in the foundation of her escape. Brandon pulled me aside a few days later. Hey man, I wasn't trying to start anything. You good? I nodded. Better than ever. He looked confused, like maybe I'd joined a cult. I didn't care, because now I had a timeline, a motive, 2 betrayals, and a plan. Not to yell, not to confront, but to burn it all down. Quietly, perfectly. I wasn't going to be the heartbroken husband. I was going to be the guy who made her last live stream. The most expensive one she ever filmed. because she thought she was building a new life. She didn't realize, so was I. 3 days later, she filmed another video while I sat in the driveway pretending to fix a flat tire. I had an old Bluetooth baby monitor tucked under the deck, audio only. It picked up everything. Even the little fake moans she made when the camera was on. They didn't sound anything like the ones I used to hear late at night when we still loved each other. She was getting bolder, starting to mention the hubby in her clips, turning him into a joke, a character, a punchline. He's probably fixing a snack machine right now. Poor thing works so hard. Cue laughter, cue lingerie, cue betrayal. I listened to her in real time. She never knew. When the moaning stopped and the door slammed shut, I went back inside, tossed the wrench in the sink, and grabbed a beer like I hadn't just heard my wife sell a fake version of herself to a bunch of lonely strangers for grocery money and validation. But it wasn't just about her now. Jake hadn't responded to my texts since I found his name in the messages. He was ghosting me. Probably assumed I knew, or maybe she warned him. Either way, I knew I needed more. I needed evidence that didn't just prove the affair. I needed to turn the entire act into something legal. Something I could take to a judge and walk away without paying a cent in alimony. So I called in a favor. Franklin Reynolds owed me a big one. I helped his sister move out of her abusive boyfriend's apartment 2 years ago. Carried her dresser down 3 flights of stairs. Never asked for anything in return. He was a tech guy. Worked IT for one of the local banks. On the side, he did phone recovery and digital forensics. I need a clean trace. Her alt accounts, bank flow, backups if you can get them. He didn't ask why. Just said, give me 72 hours. That weekend, she told me she was going on a spa retreat with a couple girls from her yoga class. She packed a suitcase. Left behind her wedding ring because massages, you know? I kissed her goodbye and smiled while she backed out of the driveway. Then I called Brandon. Need a favor, want to check something. We drove 3 hours north. I had an old college buddy who ran a security company. He let me rent some surveillance gear without paperwork. Hidden camera glasses, GPS trackers, a long-range microphone. We parked outside the spa. Except it wasn't a spa, it was a lakeside Airbnb. And she wasn't with her yoga friends. She was with Jake. They kissed in the driveway, drank wine on the patio, took selfies in the hot tub. She wore the swimsuit I told her looked best on her last summer, and when she went inside with him, I didn't look away. Because I wasn't watching out of heartbreak, I was building a case. Franklin delivered everything by Monday. Bank statements, message logs, alternate emails, cloud backups. She had over $18,000 sitting in a private account. Half of it labeled as tips. There were messages between her and Jake dating back 6 months, flirty texts, nudes, even a shared Google Doc titled Places to Start Over. They were planning to move to Oregon. She even applied for a job in Bend as a wellness coach. I printed everything, put it in a black binder, taped the cover shut, labeled it Exit Plan, Not Yours. That night, she came home glowing. Said the spa had a eucalyptus steam room, asked if I missed her. I kissed her forehead. More than you'll ever know. And I meant it. Because the woman I'd married, I missed her every day. The person standing in my kitchen, she was a stranger wearing her skin. And strangers don't get to take half of everything when they leave. They just get exposed. Tomorrow, I'd make my move. I woke up before sunrise. Not because I had to, but because I couldn't sleep. My heart wasn't racing. It wasn't dread. It was cold focus. The kind you only get when you've made peace with the fallout. Today wasn't about payback. It was about positioning. There's a difference. Payback is emotional. Positioning is permanent. I made coffee, stronger than usual. Wrote a note on the kitchen whiteboard like I always did before work. Hope yoga's good. Don't forget to pick up dog food. Love you. I smiled at that last part. There was nothing left to love. Then I took the binder, a backup USB, and a folder of printed screenshots and drove to my lawyer's office. I'd called her the night before, told her I had sensitive information that required immediate action. She was waiting with black coffee and an arched eyebrow. This about your wife. I slid the binder across the desk. She opened it, flipped through the pages. Didn't say a word until she reached the bank transfers and the video transcripts. Then she nodded slowly. She's toast. Exactly the words I needed to hear. The filing was fast, infidelity, financial deceit, digital records to back it all up. We marked everything confidential. The judge would review it under seal. I wouldn't have to serve her yet, not until I wanted to. This gave me time, and time was everything. By noon, I was in a coffee shop across town, laptop open, burner account ready. I uploaded one of her yoga trip selfies with Jake to a private Facebook group she used to visit, captioned it, "Wellness Retreat or Romantic Getaway." Then I posted a screen grab of a video title from her OAV page, cheating on my clueless husband while he's at work. I didn't tag her, didn't mention her name. I let the dots connect themselves. Within an hour, her account was being screenshotted and passed around. A whisper network of digital karma. It wasn't about shaming her. It was about setting fire to the alibi she'd built. By 4 p.m., Jake texted me. "Jake, we need to talk. This is getting out of hand." I didn't reply. Instead, I sent him a file, one video, one photo, one copy of the legal filing. Then I blocked his number. If he wanted to reach me again, he'd need a lawyer. When she got home that night, she looked tense. Her phone buzzed nonstop. She ignored every ping, every vibration. "Weird day," she said. I looked up from my book. "Yeah?" "Someone hacked a group chat. Stuff got leaked. I don't know what's going on." I nodded slowly. "You want to talk about it?" She shook her head, said she had a headache, went to shower. I waited until the water turned on. Then I opened my laptop, started sorting files for phase 2, because this wasn't about revenge anymore. It was about precision. She thought she was 3 moves ahead. She had no idea I was playing with a different board. By midnight, she was asleep, and I was already planning the next burn. By the next morning, the cracks were showing. She didn't make coffee like she normally did, didn't hum while brushing her hair. Her eyes kept darting to her phone like it owed her answers she wasn't getting. I played it cool, ate my cereal, asked her if she needed gas money. "I'm fine," she said. "Just tired." She left 20 minutes early. No goodbye kiss. I waited until her car pulled away, then checked the tracker app I'd hidden behind her rearview mirror. She wasn't going to yoga. She was headed to Jake's apartment. That part didn't surprise me. What did surprise me was how fast her world was unraveling. Franklin called me around noon. "You were right. Her alt account got flagged. Some idiot tried to repost one of her paid vids on Twitter. It triggered a takedown bot. Can it be traced to her?" "Already has, and guess what? Her IP was linked to your home. That means she violated your property rights in the process." I didn't smile, but something in my chest relaxed. It was all lining up. I thanked him, hung up, and made a quick stop at a print shop to run off a few copies of the newest evidence. When I got home, she was already there. She'd beaten me to it. That wasn't part of the pattern. "Hey," she said, standing by the sink with a dish towel she wasn't using. "Can we talk?" I set my keys down. "Sure. I feel like something's off lately, with us. With everything." She paused, testing the words. "I feel like people are looking at me weird. Online, at the store, like someone's saying things about me." I looked her dead in the eye. "Are they?" She blinked, swallowed. "I don't know. That's the thing. So let me ask you this. Do you have something to feel guilty about?" Silence. Because people don't usually panic unless they're hiding something. She didn't say anything, didn't deny it, didn't deflect. That told me more than a confession ever could. I didn't confront her. Not yet. I needed her rattled, paranoid, making mistakes. That night, I left a manila envelope on her vanity while she showered. Inside was a single still frame of her video with the caption she wrote, "While hubby's at work." No note, no name, just that image. She didn't mention it when she came to bed, but I could hear her breathing change. She didn't sleep, which was fine, because neither did I. I stayed up organizing the next drop, one that would make sure no matter where she ran, the version of her she created would get there first. The mask was slipping. Now it was time to rip it off. The next morning, she tried to play normal. She made eggs, offered me coffee, called me babe like she hadn't flinched the night before when she found that envelope. I played along. I told her the eggs were perfect. They weren't. They were runny, like her alibis. She asked if I wanted to do dinner that weekend, said we hadn't done a proper date night in a while. I smiled. Sure, pick the place. And I meant it, because I wanted her to feel safe, wanted her to build up the illusion again, just so I could crush it publicly. That afternoon, I visited the HR director at her job. I brought the binder, the files, the screenshots. I didn't go to ruin her job. I went because I knew her workplace was conservative, reputation obsessed. I knew they'd quietly panic about liability if she was using their network or name to film content. I let them draw their own conclusions. They thanked me for the concern, said it would be handled internally. I didn't care how they handled it. I just wanted her to start feeling the walls move in. When I got home, she was already there again. This time, pacing. She asked if I'd noticed anything weird on social media. I said no. She asked if Brandon had said anything to me. Nope. Then she asked the real question. Did you go through my phone? I shook my head slowly. Do I need to? She didn't answer. That night, she changed her passwords. I know because the tracking app logged her attempts, but I still had access through Franklin's backdoor clone of her iCloud. I watched in real time as she deleted messages, archived photos, removed files from her OF account. Too late. Everything had been backed up. I labeled the new folder, Panic Purge. By Friday, she came home with a bottle of wine and Thai takeout. She lit candles, played that Spotify playlist we used to listen to back when we still believed each other's lies. She poured my glass first. We toasted to better weeks. Then she looked me in the eye and said, I want to be more honest. I haven't been feeling like myself. I nodded. Yeah, I've noticed. She teared up. And for a second, a tiny part of me, a part I hadn't buried deep enough, almost believed her. But then my phone buzzed. Franklin again. He'd found her second email, the one registered under her maiden name, linked to a second OnlyFans profile. Double life, double income, no remorse. I stared at her across the candlelight, and all I saw was a stranger, smiling, selling me the same lie she thought she still controlled. That was the moment I knew the date night she planned would be the night I ended her story. We made a reservation at her favorite place, an overpriced tapas restaurant downtown with mood lighting, fake vines on the ceiling, and a menu written in half Spanish, half Instagram captions. She wore red, the same dress she'd once worn on our anniversary. It clung to her in all the ways I used to dream about, but tonight I wasn't dreaming. I was documenting. I complimented her hair, opened her car door, let her talk about some new podcast she was into, about meditation and self-alignment. I didn't laugh, didn't interrupt, because I already knew she wasn't trying to align anything but the timing of her double lives. We ordered, we ate, we smiled for the waiter. I raised a toast. To truth, I said. She hesitated, then smiled. To truth. And with that, I pressed send. A single email, one click. It went to her parents, her boss, HR Jake's girlfriend, our couples therapist, and 3 of her influencer friends who still tagged her in yoga memes. The subject line, The Real Scarlet, viewer discretion advised. Inside, a curated drive of screenshots, bank statements of content, and proof of workplace liability. Time-stamped, indexed, watermarked, unforgivable. She didn't know yet. Not until her phone buzzed. Then again, then again. Each new vibration chipped away at her posture. Her smile stiffened. Her eyes darted to the screen, but she was trying to keep it casual. Something wrong? I asked. She looked up slowly. I don't know. Maybe someone got into my email. I sipped my wine. That'd be a hell of a coincidence. More buzzing. Her screen lit up like a Christmas tree. She opened one message. Froze. The blood drained from her face. Then another. Then another. She locked the phone and stood up. I need to go to the restroom. I nodded. Take your time. She never came back to the table. I found her outside, 10 minutes later, crouched by the curb in heels too high to run in. She was sobbing. I stood above her, silent. You ruined me, she whispered. You ruined my life. I knelt down slowly. No, I said. You ruined your life. I just introduced it to your audience. She reached for my arm. I stood before she could touch me. I already filed. The papers will be at your parents' house tomorrow. Everything's documented, legal, yours to explain. Then I walked back to the table, paid the bill, tipped heavy. Not for the service, for the closure. That night, she didn't come home. Her toothbrush was gone the next morning. So was her robe, her yoga mat, and the red dress, left in the hamper like it had never meant anything. The account she used went dark within 24 hours. Jake deleted his socials. Her job issued a statement about standards violations. She moved in with an aunt 2 states away, tried to start over, but the internet doesn't forget, especially when the file is still live. And I'm still the owner of her mask and of the truth beneath it. There's a silence that follows revenge. Not the peaceful kind, not the kind they write about in poems or tattoo across ribs. It's heavy, thick, a weight you carry when there's nothing left to say, but everything left to feel. The house was quiet now. Too quiet. No half-played podcasts in the background. No soft laughter through the walls. No vanilla-scented candles trying to cover the scent of guilt. Just me. A couch that suddenly felt too big, and a calendar that no longer mattered. I thought I'd feel free. Instead, I felt still, like a painting hung in an empty room. Beautiful, maybe, but pointless. Franklin texted me 2 days later. Franklin, she tried to report a data breach. It didn't stick. Your legal bases are solid. You're in the clear. I thanked him. Sent him a gift card to that steakhouse he liked. Told him I owed him more than a meal. He sent back a thumbs up. And that was that. Brandon stopped by once, dropped off a 6-pack. We sat on the porch and didn't talk about her. Instead, we watched the neighbor's cat stalk a squirrel that was too dumb or too bold to be afraid. Feels weird, doesn't it? He said finally. Yeah, I said. Weird's a good word. He nodded, didn't push it. When he left, he clapped me on the back. You did what most guys never have the balls to do. I didn't answer. Because he was wrong. It wasn't about balls. It was about boundaries. And mine had been crossed, burned, and danced on. I cleaned out the closet the next day, bagged up her clothes, folded the lingerie I'd never seen before, set it all by the curb, didn't even post about it, just let it go. Some stuff went to the trash, some to donations. A few things, the wedding album, the framed trip photos, I boxed and taped shut. Labeled it, do not open. Past is dead. The silence didn't go away, but it started sounding less like emptiness and more like possibility. I started going to the gym again, not to punish myself, just to move. I unfollowed her friends, blocked the ones who messaged me, deleted the Spotify playlist, made a new one. It didn't heal me, but it helped me breathe. One night, I sat out back with a bourbon and no plan, just the stars. And I realized something. She'd built her identity in secret. I'd built my peace in plain sight. And while she was still running from what she did, I was finally standing still, right where I needed to be. For the first time in years, I didn't need to hit record. I just needed to live. A month passed, no messages, no drama, no new flames rising from the ashes of what we were. Just time, moving forward, unapologetically. One afternoon, I came home to a letter on the porch. No stamp, no return address, just my name, written in that looping, too neat handwriting I used to compliment. I knew who it was from before I opened it. Inside, 4 lines. I'm sorry, not for getting caught, but for forgetting who we were. I hope you find something better. No name, no explanation, not even a date. But I didn't need one. I stared at the letter for a long time, not because it hurt, but because it didn't. She wasn't reaching out to make amends. She was asking for closure without accountability, and I wasn't giving her that. I folded the letter, dropped it in the shredder, watched it turn to confetti. That night, I booked a ticket. One way. Somewhere far. Somewhere new. Somewhere where the air didn't taste like old memories and toothpaste arguments. Thailand. Not for the cliche find yourself reason, but because I didn't want to be found. I wanted to begin. Brandon drove me to the airport, said something about needing postcards and proof I wouldn't fall off a scooter. I promised nothing. He hugged me longer than expected. You earned this, he said. I smiled. I didn't feel like I'd earned anything. but I was ready to try. The plane lifted off, and somewhere between cloud cover and ocean, I let go. Of her, of the binder, of the version of me that stayed silent when I should have screamed. Bangkok hit like noise, but it was the good kind, the kind that filled the cracks. I wandered, drank street coffee, got lost on purpose, let humidity soak the old self out of my skin. And for the first time in years, I didn't feel like I was disappearing. I felt present, and that was everything. Because I didn't fly across the world to escape her. I flew across the world to find what was left of me, and maybe, just maybe, build something real from the ruins. Chiang Mai smelled like lemongrass, rain, and second chances. I rented a room above a noodle shop, the kind where roosters woke you up and the walls didn't pretend to be soundproof. But I didn't mind, because every creak, every shout from the alley, every buzz of a scooter engine, it reminded me I was somewhere new, somewhere untouched by her shadow. The days were slow, and that was the point. I stopped checking the time, ate when I was hungry, slept when the heat made my thoughts heavy. Some nights I'd walk the markets alone. Other nights I'd sit near the temple and just listen, to monks chanting, to wind, to the unfamiliar becoming familiar. Her name was Molly. She sold hand-woven bags and had a laugh that made street dogs wag their tails. We met over spilled tea and an awkward apology in broken Thai. She corrected my pronunciation with a smile and sold me a scarf I didn't need. The next day, I bought another. This time, she added an extra one. Gift, she said. By the end of the week, we were sharing mango sticky rice on the steps of her uncle's shop. She never asked why I was in Thailand, and I never offered. We just sat. Two people with different pasts, letting silence do the introductions. I didn't fall in love overnight. This wasn't some cheesy recovery movie. But I did notice the way she looked at the world, like it hadn't betrayed her yet, and I envied that. One night, I told her a story. Not the full one, just a piece, a sliver of what I'd come from. She didn't pity me, didn't ask for more, just nodded and passed me the last piece of papaya. Some storms are meant to wash you clean, she said softly. And I believed her. Weeks turned to months. I got a part-time gig helping a cafe with translations and basic bookkeeping. It paid enough to stay, to breathe, to not need anyone, and that was freedom. I sent Brandon a postcard. It just said, still upright, still unburned, still me. He sent back a photo of my old porch, beer on the steps, cat on the railing. Under it, he wrote, "Next round's on you." I laughed, out loud. Didn't realize I'd missed that sound. One night, Molly asked if I wanted to visit her family's farm. I said yes before she finished the sentence, and as we rode out of town on her scooter, wind in my face and horizon wide open, I realized something I hadn't dared to say out loud. I wasn't just healing. I was home. Maybe not forever. But for now, it was enough. And for the first time in years, enough. Felt like everything. It was Molly's idea. A quiet evening on the porch, feet bare, the scent of grilled fish in the air. "Have you thought about going back?" she asked, not looking at me. I didn't answer right away, because the truth was, I had. Not out of longing, but out of curiosity. Closure. Proof that I could face it without flinching. So I booked a ticket. Round trip. Not because I wanted to return permanently, but because I wanted to prove to myself that I didn't belong there anymore. That I had changed. And the place I once called home hadn't. The airport felt colder, the streets tighter. Everything familiar looked smaller. Brandon picked me up with 2 coffees and a grin that hadn't aged a day. "You look like a guy who's seen the other side." "I have." He clapped me on the back. "Let's go remind the past who you are now." I visited the house, not inside, just from across the street. There were different curtains, different plants, but the porch still creaked when the wind hit it just right. A memory tried to climb into my throat. I swallowed it down, because that version of me didn't live here anymore. And that house? It was just wood and brick and echoes. I saw her once, accidental. She crossed the street near a coffee shop I used to hate. She didn't see me, and I didn't stop her. She looked thinner, tired, like someone still waiting to wake up from the consequences of their choices, And I wished her nothing. Not well, not poorly, just nothing. The last night of my visit, I stood in my old driveway with Brandon. He handed me a beer. Feel like you got what you needed? I nodded. More than I expected. He raised his bottle. To the version of you that never needed revenge to move on. I tapped mine to his. And to the version that used it anyway, but knew when to let go. We drank in silence. Not grief, not regret, just space. At the gate the next morning, I looked back only once. Not at the city, not at the pain, but at the man who'd walked through fire and didn't smell like smoke anymore.